Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Dana. Welcome to everything I watched in 2025. Now, this is not a recap of just movies that came out this past year, but any first time watch that I logged on Letterboxd. So if you want to keep up with what I'm watching, you can follow me there. And then, because we're obviously not talking about everything I watched, or else we'd be here forever, you can also see what other movies I'm watching on there. So instead, what we're doing, than talking about everything, I'm picking one favorite movie from each month and 3 honorable mentions. Yeah, and then at the end, all of those favorites are going to battle it out in a bracket to see which was my all-time favorite of the year. Now, I'm going to talk about it more at the end of the video, but these videos are super ambitious and take me a very long time. If you did watch my previous ones, which if you haven't, please go check them out because I worked really hard on them. They came out really late. I did want to, and even with this one, I intended it to come out at the start of the year, and now it's looking a little closer to March. I don't want to say that and jinx myself, and then this doesn't come out till summer again, but they're very massive. They take a lot of work, so I'm going to be changing how I do that in the future, which I'll talk about more at the end of this video. So let's jump in. We're going into January, which I'll be honest, was mostly a month of rewatching a lot of my favorite movies. Nothing wrong with that. But what I did watch for the first time was a lot of stuff that's been sitting on my VHS shelf for forever. Or just movies that had come out in recent years but I missed upon initial release. And there's kind of a general theme of teen dramas. My favorite movie of the month that I watched was one of those I missed upon initial release movies, and it was Bottoms. I just loved the absurd comedy of the movie. I just don't think I've seen a teen drama like that. It was really refreshing. Honestly, kind of comparable to a show like Pen 15, where the absurdity comes from like teenage behavior and what they say. It feels a little bit unrealistic at times or heightened. I just thought it was a lot of fun. Yeah. Now for honorable mentions, we have Bring It On, Cruel Intentions, and Repo Man. So starting with Bring It On. Yay. I love when I have a physical movie. Guys, physical media. Yay. I think this was gifted to me. Lots of my tapes were gifted, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm so distracted. There's a trailer for Josie Pussycats on the TV. Bring It On. I was really expecting this to be like a nasty, competitive girl movie, and was pleasantly surprised to find it's about good sportsmanship and girls helping girls. I mean, it takes a while to like fully get there. There's still that competitiveness going on. And then other really good themes, just like white privilege almost. Like, no, literally white privilege. Great movie. Highly recommend. I mean, the cast too. Upset that Kirsten Dunst and Eliza Dushku were not kissing. Hello? She just always brings some kind of energy to what she's in, and it's that she should be kissing her co-stars. Buffy? Come on, guys. You know what I'm talking about. So yes, we love to see it. Okay, my next honorable mention for the month of January is Cruel Intentions. Wow, we love having movies. I want to say I picked this one up at a thrift store. This movie's interesting because it's one of those weird movies that came out in the 90s, kind of late 90s, early 2000s, that I want to say Clueless started this trend of modern adaptations of classic literature. So obviously this one is Dangerous Liaisons, which I think they just did another HBO Max series for. How many times do we need to tell this story about weird, horny teenagers that are step siblings? In modern day, the Bittersweet Symphony needle drop is a little funny to me. It's a little bit jarring, honestly. Very shoegazy soundtrack. Yeah, it's drama. It's the drama. I will say, spoilers, I don't think that would have killed him. I think he would have survived that. I'll be honest with you. It's like, it's New York City traffic. I don't think they're going that fast. But I don't know. Maybe he was on a bike or something. Like, hospitalized at least. Like, definitely experiencing injuries. But I don't know. I wouldn't have gone that far. Well, that's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Last honorable mention, we have Repo Man. I don't know if I found this. No, I did find this. I remember exactly where I was when I found this. Someone did not give this to me. I found it. Wow. Yippee. Repo Man. And then I've since, like, gone to Criterion sales, and I'm like, oh, that cover does look nicer. But Repo Man is this is, like, the one outlier in my teen drama theme for the month. It's kind of reminds me of, like, what Return of the Living Dead is for punks and zombies. This is for punks and aliens, except it's a lot less comical and it's much more subtle and gritty. I don't have too much to say about it. It's something I should probably rewatch at a later date, but I did love Emilio Estevez's dangly little earring. It was really special to me. And that's that on that. In February, I watched a ton more movies. I want to say about like 20 or something. It felt like I had got my movie watching mojo back. This is going to happen a lot this year. I'm going to have ebbs and flows of movie watching. I generally stuck with the horror genre this month, with my favorite of the bunch being William Friedkin's Bug from 2007. I just think this is one of the best psychological horror movie I've ever seen. It really stuck with me. I was thinking about it for like days afterwards. I loved the production design so much. Makes me really want to see it on the stage since it is based off of a play. I think just this year, or maybe last year, I want to say it was around a time where I had just been to New York City, so I could not go down again, but they did it on Broadway, or off Broadway, whatever they were doing, Bug, and I was mad that I couldn't see it. Now for honorable mentions this month, I have Spider Baby, Martin, and Monkey Shines. Spider Baby feels like essential viewing for anyone who likes anything hellbilly, cowpunk, or just general backwoods horror. I could definitely feel that it has influenced people like Rob Zombie and Tarantino, who like a Grindhouse movie. It's very exploitation, Addams Family. So if anything of that nature sounds up your alley, you should go check out Spider Baby. Now on to my George Romero double feature, which I think I actually watched way more than just 2 George Romero movies. I was on a Romero kick. I want to say I also watched Bruiser and The Dark Half this month. I either watched The Dark Half this month or the following month. But Martin's kind of difficult for me to talk about. I don't really have too much to say about it other than it's a good unconventional vampire movie. If you want to see a better discussion, I'm pretty sure Red Letter Media has a video about it. The ending feels really crazy abrupt, which I kind of like. It gave me an audible shock reaction, which I love whenever a movie can do that. It, to me, makes it feel like it was effective. I think the strongest part of the movie is any of the black and white scenes. They kind of blur the line between flashback or fantasy, and they just look gorgeous. Now, Monkey Shines made me briefly obsessed with capuchin monkeys. I went down a little rabbit hole of research into organ grinder monkeys. Anyways, it's a good little thriller. It feels like something you'd catch on a horror movie marathon, down to the thunderstorm outside the house in the final act. Um, anyways, Ella did nothing wrong. She's literally just a monkey. Why did they have to be so brutal about her death? She's just a little girl. She didn't do anything wrong. Actually, good for her. She just loved her man a little too much. Ella. She was so cute. Anyways, moving into March, I was pretty on and off with watching movies. I would go like a week without watching anything, and then I'd binge a whole bunch in a day. Um, Out of all the movies I watch, I think my favorite first time watch was Fargo, which is crazy that I had not watched it until last year. I have already rewatched it once at the start of this year, and I feel stupid that in any of my previous videos I said that any other Coen Brothers movie was my favorite. This one is just a near perfect movie. It has all the ingredients that make a great Coen Brothers flick. It's got like quaint humor, but then also these really dark, jaw-dropping moments. Now, for honorable mentions this month, I have Pieces of April, Detroit Rock City, and Mystery Train. It did initially turn me off that Pieces of April was set around Thanksgiving, and I did not know that. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you know I cannot stand mixing or watching holidays outside of their respective holidays in a movie. It really bugs me. But this one was just really phenomenal. It has a really tight script, really tight characters. It slowly reveals information to you without feeling like it's force feeding you anything. And it's just does so much with so little. It would make a super chaotic double feature for like a New York City Thanksgiving with the Day Trippers, by the way. If you wanted to have a whack Thanksgiving with your family. Now, Detroit Rock City. Yay, she has the movie, guys. She has the movie. Physical media. Characters in Detroit Rock City are so energetic. It's really entertaining. The production design, the camera work, the editing, it's all very stylish. And that's not on that. I don't have too much to say about Mystery Train, except I actually think I have more to say about it than Detroit Rock City. It's just not that much about the actual movie itself. It's just one of those movies I had wanted to watch ever since I heard about it, but it was really hard to find anywhere. A professor mentioned it in college, and I was just totally sold because he said that it had Screamin' Jay Hawkins and Joe Strummer in it. Though, it also has Steve Buscemi, and clearly this month I was a Steve Buscemi girl. And yes, add him to the list. You know the one. Add him to the list. But if you like movies that take, like, the whole movie takes place at, like, a very certain time, and then you get to see it from different characters' perspectives, and over the course of the movie you see, like, how they've all crossed paths or how they're all connected, this is a great one that you should really check out. Yes. The flop month is back. I only watched 3 movies in April. Everything else was just comfort rewatches, and then very uncharacteristically for me, I was binging TV shows. So that will be included in the honorable mentions. I'd say my favorite first time watch is kind of a tight battle between 2 because I literally only watched 3 movies this month. But I think the To-Do List inches just a little bit above No Hard Feelings. It's a movie I had really wanted to watch ever since I think the trailers came out. Aubrey Plaza is just absolutely stunning. It feels like this movie walked so other nerdy, awkward girl media could run. I'm thinking Booksmart, I'm thinking Pen 15. The whole premise of this movie reminds me a lot of the character in Mallrats that's doing research on 90s male sexuality. And I don't want to assume anything, but this feels like a very pro sex education movie. All right, honorable mentions: No Hard Feelings and Sleepover. And I'm gonna briefly talk about the shows I binged. No Hard Feelings really hit for me in a way I was not expecting. It's very awkward, cringe humor, which is usually a miserable time for me, but I think it works because the backbone of this movie is really well developed characters. I liked the happy and hopeful ending, but at the same time, it really bummed me out because it was like, yeah, in the real world, people don't often get that wake up call to get their shit together. Now, Sleepover skewed way younger than I was expecting. But frankly, the middle schoolers don't get enough media, let's be honest. It's such an awkward time, you need to be seen. There is a dance scene that has a cover of an Oingo Boingo song. I'm pretty sure it was We Close Our Eyes, which also has a cover at the end of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. So hell yeah. It's just a really good coming of age movie about taking risks and gaining self-confidence. I'm such a square. If I was prompted with the scavenger hunt list, I would do 0 of it. Now on to a little special shout out for From and Pretty Little Liars. I was so deep in watching Pretty Little Liars that I even started to read the book, which, let me tell you, absolutely nothing happens in. It's almost like it was made for middle schoolers. The tie between everything I've watched, another tie between what I've watched this month. From is such an incredible show. I really hope that the final season comes out soon. I need it now. And I'm just surprised that there's not more hype and talk about it. I learned about it from a coworker, but I didn't see anything about it online or any videos, and I'm just a little bit shocked that I'm not seeing it talked more about in horror circles or sci-fi horror circles. May was another dud month, but I did watch significantly more than I did in April. 6 new first-time watches, and I'd say my favorite of the bunch was Peter Jackson's Heavenly Creatures. I didn't give in to the feeling, but I liked it so much that I wanted to rewatch it almost immediately afterwards. If you're looking for some freak matching in queer feminine rage, you should really check this one out. Controversial opinion, but I might say it's Peter Jackson's best movie. Sorry, Lord of the Rings fans. I will warn that it is based on a true crime story, so it did give me a little bit of a rut-row feeling, but it also feels like maybe if we had a more accepting world, these girls wouldn't have felt driven to do what they did. But let's be honest, it's much more about the obsessive, toxic friendship. My honorable mentions for this month are Zelly and Me, Single White Female, and Picnic at Hanging Rock. I was like, which one? What is it? Now, I found out about Zelly and Me after David Lynch passed, and I would highly recommend it to any Lynch fans, as it's a rare case of him acting in a movie. He didn't direct it. I don't think he's involved in any other way other than it has Isabella Rossellini in it. But he's really great and just very soft-spoken and tender. This movie feels a lot like Matilda, but without any of the magical whimsy or the happy ending. Single White Female was great. It's probably one of the best 90s erotic thrillers, domestic thrillers. It's definitely one of the trailblazers. I mean, it feels like it popularized so many tropes for the genre. Now, Picnic at Hanging Rock is just vibes. It's so pretty, it's ethereal, also very queer coded, and it's eerie, it's mysterious. If you're going into it expecting clear answers, it's not going to give you that. I listened to the audiobook. I enjoyed that, and I'm hoping at some point to watch the TV miniseries as well. Yay! Moving into June, I got my movie watching mojo back. I watched 12 movies for the first time and had 4 rewatches. My favorite first time watch would have to be Indian Summer. This is another film with one of my favorite directors, actually in an acting role. It's Sam Raimi living out his physical comedy dreams. This movie has a great cast. I mean, Diane Lane, Bill Paxton, Alan Arkin. It's just a really great late summer, early fall, feel good summer camp movie. My honorable mentions for this month are My Brilliant Career, Snack Shack, and Road Games. With Heavenly Creatures, Picnic at Hanging Rock, and then My Brilliant Career, I was really into movies based on Australian and New Zealand literature. I totally get Sibylla. She's literally me. But also, as we know, if you saw my last everything I watched, I'm down bad for Sam Neill. This movie has like the best pillow fight in cinema history, I think. Now, for my next honorable mention, I had rewatched Dinner in America, so I thought, why not check out the director's next or follow-up film, Snack Shack. It still has that same kind of vulgar voice, but it feels a lot more wholesome and really gets you to empathize with the protagonist. I just really love these harsh, brash, in-your-face comedies that still feel like they have a lot of heart at their core. Now, the last honorable mention is Road Games, another Australian movie. I was just on a roll. If you like The Hitcher or a voyeuristic mystery thriller like Rear Window or Body Double, you should really check this one out. I'm honestly surprised I don't hear more people talking about this one because it has really great setups and payoffs. So this month is going to be very difficult because I watched a lot of movies and some of them are really strong heavy hitters. I think the best movie I watched was probably Brazil. If you're a big fan of liminal spaces, you need to check this one out ASAP. I'm shocked this wasn't required viewing for one of my college classes because it feels so influenced by 1984, Metropolis, the production design, the costumes, the practical effects. They're all huge standouts, but the thing that stuck with me the most from this movie was actually the score, because there's a piece of music that I think is maybe more popular than this movie itself. I think I've heard it my entire life, and it's the like office like work theme. Yeah. Yes. My honorable mentions for this month are Pee-wee as himself, Something Wild, and Wild at Heart. Pee-wee as himself is more of a 2-part docuseries. It feels very intimate, but it's also keeping you at an arm's length the whole time, which really just speaks to Paul Reubens' willingness to share his story. It has incredible archival footage. I think if you're a big fan of Pee Wee Herman or Paul Reubens, you should definitely check it out. Something Wild. I actually watched this one with my dad, which was a little awkward, but he also came in like halfway through the movie, so it's fine. Banger soundtrack. That's pretty much all I have to say about it. Banger soundtrack. And very young Ray Liotta. Wild at Heart was a movie I had wanted to watch for such a long time because, already mentioned in this video, I'm a huge David Lynch fan, and it was just really sad that he passed last year. So of course I wanted to watch some Lynch movies that I had not, and I watched Wild at Heart. When I was watching Twin Peaks for the first time, I actually found out that my mom was a huge fan while it was airing, and had at some point considered Wild at Heart to be one of her favorite movies. So, of course, I had to have another awkward movie watch with a parent. So, me and my mom watched Wild at Heart together. I feel like Laura Dern just steals the show in this movie. She's so fantastic. She's incredible. And this has some of the best transitions in cinema and film. Highly recommend. My top film I watched in August has to be, hands down, Weapons. I don't want to jump the gun, but it may be my new favorite horror film of the year. It was just such a fun theater experience, and I found myself laughing a lot, which, if you watched my previous videos, you know I love comedy in my horror. That being said, it's still really dark, and it does deliver on the scares. If you haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend it. Moving on to my honorable mentions for August, we have Pulp Fiction, Theater Camp, and Rushmore. Now, I'm going to be honest, I watched a lot of Tarantino movies this month. It's so embarrassing that he is definitely my top director for the year. But yes, I had avoided Pulp Fiction for a very long time because I just couldn't get past the film bro obnoxious reputation that it has. But it's really well crafted, and I did enjoy it. It's definitely overindulgent and has some overhyped moments, but it's a good movie, okay? I'll say it. I'll admit it. It's a good movie. Now, Theater Camp is a movie that I wanted to see when it originally came out, but I just missed it. It's genuinely so funny and relatable to anyone who has been in any kind of theater kid space. It reminds me of the characters from Wet Hot American Summer, played by Amy Poehler and Bradley Cooper, but cranked to 100. My only beef with this movie is that it is technically a mockumentary, but it hardly uses it. So it just feels like a really unnecessary framing device. If you're gonna use it, use it. Where were my confessionals at? Pissing me off. It just felt like it didn't need to be a mockumentary. Now, I was kind of in between a couple of movies for my last honorable mention, but Rushmore is what sticks out the most in my mind. It's pretty much just a movie about a pathetic, insufferable twerp and a grown-ass man harassing a woman who keeps turning them down. But damn, do it got style. It's Wes Anderson, so of course it's a gorgeous, beautiful, stunning movie. I was a sucker for the lettering throughout. If you know anything about me, I do love some hand lettering. That's like all done in like crayon and chalk. It's like fantastic. And I also loved Magnus's Scottish accent. Yeah. Oh, she loved a Scottish accent. In September, I was once again participating in VHS September. So I was in a pretty strict prompt list, and I was watching movies that I only had on VHS. My top film for this month was Death to Smoochy. This month and the next month, I have this experience of being kind of lukewarm on a movie at the start, but as it continues on, I grow increasingly obsessed with it. This movie was a critical and audience flop upon release, but I can see why. Its humor and its characters are a bit off-putting, even though as it goes on, you grow to love them. I feel like in our current era of cringe humor and hyper criticism of media, like media commentary, I think this might land better nowadays, though the children's entertainer aspect of the whole thing feels really outdated now. This movie's worth it for Ed Norton shirtless and pink suspenders with eyeliner on. It's a really polarizing film, though, so watch at your own risk. If anything I've mentioned so far about it sounds up your alley, then I'd check it out. I honestly think for this month I have 1 honorable mention and 2 dishonorable mentions. So let's start with the good. The 1991 Cape Fear remake. This movie had some moments that genuinely shocked me and had my heart racing, which is impressive because this is a movie that's so in the pop culture psyche that it was just exciting that there were moments that still surprised me. The character of Max Cady is deeply sinister and manipulative to a point that it really got under my skin. I mean, there's a reason why they're called predators. The editing, the transitions in this movie are just so sharp and really effective. So that's it for the good. Let's move on to the bad. First off, for dishonorable mentions, we have Sliver. I had read the Ira Levin book earlier in the year, and I really loved it. I really loved this book. So I had pretty low expectations going into this movie, especially since there's so much positive talk about other adaptations of his work. For example, Rosemary's Baby and The Stepford Wives. So why hadn't I heard anything about this movie? It's kind of like my first red flag of the bar is low. For the most part, it's a pretty serviceable, pun intended, 90s erotic thriller up until we get to the ending. So it pissed me off so bad that I had to go down a deep dive research into what the heck happened with this movie. So the first ending bombed with test audiences, and it also turns out that this movie had multiple endings written, and then they just kind of chose one at random. So that first ending bombed, and this is not a case of the alternate ending being better. Unfortunately, they're both terrible. I cannot for the life of me understand why they just didn't go with the original book ending. It just seems that to a lot of people the book's ending is kind of goofy. I like it. It's pretty much karmic justice that's borderlining on a bit too on the nose, but I love Tales from the Crypt, so I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. The only thing, my theories are that maybe they didn't want to deal with the hassle of an animal. Like, the first red flag to me when I was watching this movie, I was like, where's her cat? Where's her cat? That's a big part of the book. Where's her cat? And I know that working with animals on set can be difficult. So I'm guessing they just didn't want to deal with that. But it's kind of a big part of the book that there's a cat. They maybe didn't want to film in the snow. The ending revolves around like a big snowstorm. Maybe they just didn't want to do a hanging off a high-rise building type stunt. All of these things, like the visual of the ending when I was reading the book was so amazing. It was so tense. And the movie just throws it away. I just feel like there could have been really stylish workarounds. My other theory is that the book's ending kind of has a similar thing going on that Single White Female does, where it's this plot of trying to frame someone else. That's my only other theory of why they didn't go with that. Anyways, thank you for letting me rant about this movie that sucks and the book that's pretty good. I had read Rosemary's Baby, and that one is like a tight adaptation. Like, say whatever you want, but like, the director was working from a source material, and the source material was good that they didn't have to change that much. So, a tight adaptation. I have not read Stepford Wives yet. I really want to. Anyways, good book. Really, really bad movie. If it wasn't for the ending, this could have been like a guilty pleasure thriller. Unfortunately, it just totally misses on the end. So, boo. That's my first dishonorable mention. Buckle up, there's more. Okay, the final dishonorable mention for September, and I'll try to be a little less yappy with this one, a little less yappy. It's Pat. it's Pat. Hear me out, okay? I feel like this movie could be updated for a modern audience. If instead of the humor being derived from the ridiculousness of how people... let me rephrase this. If we changed how, it leaned in more to the humor of it being that how badly people need to know Pat's biological sex, as the joke, like, it's so ridiculous that they want to know that. Rather it being the ridiculousness of the situations, how it's avoided them finding out. I think it could be a strong criticism on modern day behaviors. I even think Pat could continue to be an unlikable and complicated protagonist, but unfortunately this is SNL, so there's like no attempt to go beyond caricature. Credit to Dave Foley and the late Charles Rocket. I feel like they are way too good for what this movie is. Dave Foley brings like a much needed groundedness and believability, and Charles Rocket's character feels kind of ahead of its time as this antagonist that's fetishizing queer and non-binary people. I know I'm giving this piece of crap way too much credit than it deserves, but once again, I just feel like it's a case of missed potential, though at the time that this was made, I don't think a lot of people were thinking like this. Going into spooky season, I was once again following a prompt list, loosely for the most part. My favorite first time watch this month was Tobe Hooper's Mortuary. Another polarizing movie that at the start I was pretty lukewarm about, but as it went on, I really grew to love it. If you push through this movie, I promise you're in for a black bile treat, but I will warn, feels and looks pretty cheap, and there is some rough dialogue. It's just some good, grimy, early aughts. Now, honorable mentions for October are The Ugly Stepsister, Bring Her Back, and Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. The Ugly Stepsister is probably going to be up there with Weapons for one of my favorite new horror releases this year. It's dark fantasy meets body horror. If you liked The Substance, what that brought to the table in 2024, you'd probably like The Ugly Stepsister. It's having really similar critiques on beauty standards and body modification. I liked Bring Her Back way more than I was expecting, and I definitely liked it more than Talk to Me. I watched it after catching up on a few other horror releases that came out this year, and they all just kind of felt like duds to me. Bring Her Back isn't reinventing the wheel or doing anything super groundbreaking. It's kind of taking known horror stuff. It feels similar, but what the Philippines always bring to the table is like kind of this hopeless, tragic feeling to their movies. Like, there is no working it out. I don't know. And unpopular opinion, I liked that the lore was not explained like at all. Like the ritual and everything was very vague. I liked that because I felt like it really emphasized that Sally Hawkins' character kind of was just riffing. Like, she didn't know what she was doing. Just kind of doing something that's so irresponsible. And, you know, I think I am also kind of sick of the trauma, insert Jamie Lee Curtis here, the
trauma, PTSD, trauma, generational trauma
trauma dumping horror movies all the time. Like, it's just a lot. Or like ghosts as metaphor, you know what I mean? Like, we've just been getting a lot of those recently, and I think someone's called it like trauma porn.
Trauma. Rage and trauma
Trauma porn. But I think it, I feel like can bring her back. It actually has a purpose. If, like, grief can drive you to do horrible things, and, like, you know, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. It's not my favorite of the year. I think, you know, Weapons and Ugly Stepsister are really up there for me. I know a lot of people loved Sinners, but I didn't like it as much as everyone else did. It does have bangers. It do have bangers, but I don't know, it just wasn't my favorite. I'm sorry, guys. As you noticed, I didn't even mention it when, like, when its release came out. I didn't even mention it. Ugh, yikes. Okay, the people are gonna be mad. Sorry. My last favorite honorable mention, my last honorable mention for October is Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. Wow. I had wanted to watch this for a very long time. As I already mentioned in this video, I'm a huge Tales from the Crypt fan. It's very Evil Dead, but what if it was in a hotel? Great character actor performances in this. I mean, Billy Zane obviously kind of steals the show. He is just so charismatic in this movie. He really shines. And, like, let's be real, I would not be immune to the demon seduction. Like, I'm getting possessed. It's happening, unfortunately. We're almost at the end, guys. Just 2 more months left to go. In November, my favorite first time watch was Little Otik, or Greedy Guts. This is a Czech film that's based off of a Czech fairy tale. I wrote the name down, and they say it so much in the movie, but it's been so long now that I truly don't remember how to pronounce it, so I'm just gonna put the name on the screen of the fairy tale. This movie would be really fun to pair with Eraserhead if the runtime wasn't so long. It has very similar themes, though it's also kind of about something else as well. Also, just weird little babies. Like, I would like to see the Eraserhead and Little Otik baby playdate. But the themes of this movie are largely about parenthood, childbearing, and the complicated emotions around infertility. This movie gets top spot for me on the surreal visuals alone. It's just so surreal, and it has amazing stop motion. I mean, I was sold at Baby Fish Market, and I hope that for you, those words alone can sell you on watching this movie. My honorable mentions for this month are Hunt for the Wilder People, Big Fish, and Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. Now, Hunt for the Wilder People made me cry multiple times. Like, spoilers, but there is a dog death, so of course I was sobbing. And we know from my past, pull up the receipts, my taste in men, Sam Neill is so daddy in this movie. Like, literally, he's literally father figure. Now, Big Fish. This movie is gorgeous, it's stunning, it's beautiful, and it really stands out in Tim Burton's filmography. Like, I feel like he doesn't have anything else like that. And once again, a gorgeous, gorgeous man with Ewan McGregor. But truly, that movie, Big Fish, got a surprising amount of laughs out of me. Like, there are so many funny moments. The one that I just see so vividly in my mind is the birth scene with the baby flying out and going down the hospital hallways. It's ridiculous. Now, my last honorable mention, Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, was kind of a dark horse. It was a surprise watch. I wasn't planning on it at all, actually. It's been in my watch list for quite a while, but I just never felt particularly motivated to watch it. And I think it's because I really truly didn't know anything about it. But one day I opened up Shudder to catch up on Dragula, and when I opened it up, I saw Bill Paxton in little booty gym shorts, and I was like, well, let me sit down. Like, you got me. I gotta watch this now. And hear me out, my second hear me out of the video, so watch out, you should be concerned. Kind of an underrated queer horror gem. And it's crazy for me to say that because this movie is the most I have ever heard the F slur in a film ever. It's so ridiculous, it's almost comical. And Susan Tyrrell is so unhinged in this movie. Like, off the rocker nuts. Like, she's nutty. And I am sure that the behind the scenes stories for this movie are kind of ridiculous. Like, I feel like it's probably a little nightmare time, because I feel like I've just heard that she's a rough, notorious one to work with. I feel like I had to have heard that from, like, John Waters talking about Crybaby, and she's hardly in that movie compared to this. So, whew. But check it out if you wanna clock if it's actually a underrated queer horror gem or not. If you want to take that risk. Well, guys, we're almost there. We're almost at the end. Finally, we have made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for sticking with me throughout this very long video. I'll be honest, December was mostly rewatching cozy Christmas movies, but there were a couple of first-time watches. My favorite of the bunch was actually a new limited release movie called Dust Bunny. I understand this movie is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and it probably was a bit of a theatrical flop. I'm sure that's part of why it was a limited release. It's eclectic, it's rated R, and it's dark fantasy, so it was kind of doomed a little bit, but it's so up my alley. It's also a little bit of a slow burn at the start with little to no dialogue, so I could see people checking out of that, but it's just got high style and some offbeat humor. I kind of knew going in that I'd like it since it's the film debut of Bryan Fuller, who has made some of my favorite TV shows. I was really into Wonder Falls, Pushing Daisies, and Hannibal last year, and before that I really enjoyed Dead Like Me. So I knew I'd like this. It is so worth it, especially for the final act. So if you get a chance, please check out Dust Bunny. I know it needs some love. I feel like not enough people are checking it out. Now, my honorable mentions for this month are the short film The Snowman, Marty Supreme, and Winter Kept Us Warm. Now, if you'd seen my first Everything I Watched video, I talked about a different Raymond Briggs work called When the Wind Blows, so I kind of knew what I was signing up for with The Snowman, that this wasn't just going to be any old animated short that is going to be kind of sad and bittersweet. The animation is just so gorgeous, it's stunning, and the music, the song Walking in the Air, makes me want to cry every time I hear it. So beautiful. I'll be honest, I thought Marty Supreme was just alright. I wanted to see Marty fail. I wanted to see him lose. I wanted it to be more of a male equivalent to Black Swan or the Red Shoes. But no, we can't have that. We can't see men fail. The soundtrack was good. Like, it's all needle drops that I should love. Like, I'm a huge Tears for Fears fan. But this is a personal preference. This is like my pet peeve. If your movie is set in the 50s, why is the soundtrack 80s music? You know? It was just really distracting to me that it was like all 80s synth pop. It's all non-diegetic, so it's not like it's playing on a radio or something within the world of the movie, but it's just my personal ick. And I'm sure it didn't bother other people as much as it bugged me. Now, my last honorable mention is going to be pretty brief. I don't have too much to say about it. It was Winter Kept Us Warm. If you're gay, if you're a little queer, and you love yourself some dark academia, I don't know, put this on a little double feature with Dead Poet Society or something. It's just, this is a lot more understated than that. It's a lot more slow and chill. Now, it is time to find out what my favorite first time watch of the year was. So, Bug totally wins out for the first bracket. Then it's Fargo for the second. And Heavenly Creatures beats out Indian Summer, but out of the whole of that bracket, Fargo is going forward. On the other side, Brazil versus Weapons. Weapons wins. Death to Smoochie versus Mortuary. It's totally Death to Smoochie. And Little Otique versus Dust Bunny. It's Dust Bunny. I would say Weapons wins on this side of the bracket, but overall, it's Fargo. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos, for sticking around throughout this very long, rambly video. These videos are very ambitious for me. They take a lot of time and a lot of work, and I've decided rather than doing one big video at the end of the year or a year or year two later, I'm instead gonna try to do seasonal like catch-ups, seasonal wrap-ups, kind of like a favorite video. They'll probably include other things other than movies, but I'm definitely going to be talking about movies and TV shows in there. So thank you guys so much again, and I hope you stick around to see what else I watch in the future. Bye!